Welcome back to the Ride JBI YouTube channel. I'm Anthony. This, of course, is JB. And this is episode 4, I think, if my memory serves me correct, of our Monster Energy AMA Supercross rider review series. And in this episode, we're going to be tackling the topic of riders who are dark horses in the Premier class. These are riders who can easily snag a podium or a top 5 on any given night, but haven't quite reached the top step of the podium quite yet. So let's cover the 4 riders that we're going to talk about in this episode. That being Rockstar Energy Husqvarna's Malcolm Stewart, the pair of teammates, Christian Craig, who is a new recruit, his teammate Justin Cooper going into his sophomore year in the Premier class, and then of course the newest addition to the Premier class, that being the Spanish rider, Monster Energy Kawasaki's Jorge Prado. So let's start with Jorge Prado, who I think probably has the most buzz out of the 4 riders, just coming over from Europe, being an all new, fresh face, and honestly a good looking face. I was looking at a photo of him the other day, I'm a totally straight guy, but I was looking at this guy and I was like, man, I wish I had this guy's looks, because this guy probably just pulls on and off the track.
I bet, man. I that, and he's now in Southern California, so he's probably having pretty fun on Tinder and whatever dating apps. Unless he's got a girlfriend.
Life is good for the number 70.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch him, man. He did pretty damn good in his initial dip his toe into the pool of Supercross last year. And now I think he's got a little more prep. And I think most importantly, he's got experience. I know I got goosebumps just going to A1 for the first time as a spectator. I can't imagine going to A1 for the first time as a racer and just taking all those nerves and that excitement of that. So at least now he knows what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a 4-race stretch last year during the 24 season with the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas team, as he's still a Gas rider over in the MXGP series. And I really liked what I saw from Jorge while he was over here. Some good starts, some good speed, good qualifying times, nothing too crazy, and not a lot of scary or sketchy moments. He looked super smooth. Right. But he didn't look super flashy yet. And I think he has the skill set, the talent, the ability, however you want to chalk it up, to be that rider one day. I do think he is a caliber of a rider who can battle for Supercross wins and potentially championships down the road. But do I think it's going to happen in 2025? I'm not quite there yet. When we get to the pro motocross season, I am all aboard that train. But during Supercross, I think it's, hey, let's get through the 17-round stretch. Happy, healthy, learn the bike, and let's get some data heading into the 26th season. For Jorge, I look for good starts out of the guy because I think he has 149 hole shots from the time that he was over in the GPs, which is absolutely absurd. If you haven't seen this guy ride, he's like the Mike Alessi 2.0 when it comes off the starts, but he can actually ride. Not saying Mike can't ride, but we kind of see him slip back a little bit, whereas Jorge can actually work his way up if he gets a bad start, or if he gets a good start, he can hang with those boys late into the MXGP moto. So I'm super excited to see what the number 70 has heading into Anaheim 1 and just throughout the entire season, to be honest, because as you know, a 4-race stretch is quite different than a 17-round stretch.
Yeah, a lot can happen during those 17 rounds. And as you pointed out, he didn't have many close calls, which is really important because that can really nip you in the butt if you go down at any point during the Supercross series and then impact or handicap his motocross nationals debut. So I'm, from exactly what you said, I'm hoping to see very much of the same. Just get more time on the bike, get more experience, make it through the whole 17 rounds, and have fun. Like what a cool 2025 for him and a new experience. So I hope he's looking at it that way as well. To touch on the equipment real quick, it looks like the same stuff as Jason Anderson is on. So that would be the A-Kit Showa 49mm fork, and then the A-Kit Showa rear shock. This is an 18mm shaft, 50mm piston, bladder style shock. And then we have that same stuff components that you can buy from us. So now that we are Showa dealers, but it wouldn't be the same settings. We can give you those, but I don't think you want Supercross settings unless you're doing Supercross.
I think most people's teeth would rattle out if they had Jorge Prado's Supercross setting and they're riding motocross track.
Yeah, you'd probably just want some motocross or off-road settings depending on what you're doing.
Let's move on to another Monster Energy sponsored team, that being the Monster Energy Start Racing Yamaha team with Justin Cooper heading into his sophomore season. And I think of the 4 riders that we're going to talk about in this episode, I think Justin Cooper is going to be the rider to watch out of these 4. I think now that he has his freshman year kind of under his belt, out of the way. He knows what to expect during the course of a 17-round series. He snagged his first podium of his 450 career in Salt Lake City, the finale of the Supercross season. And I think he's wanting to build upon that or off of that heading into 2025.
Yeah. And again, another guy that has a great team around him. Obviously, he's got two great mentors if they choose, again, to take that role on in any capacity, in the sense of Cooper Webb and Eli Tomac, and then everybody else there in terms of their suspension guys. They got motor guys. It seemed to be a very strong team in terms of personnel and people there, and then matched with very good equipment also. So yeah, you say the name Justin Cooper, in my mind just flashbacks to Colorado and him ripping two big hole shots and leading the majority of the races. So he's familiar with being up front. He can race that 450 class. So I'm excited to see what he's learned in the off season and how he's going to apply that to this new year. But I agree, man. I think he is the biggest dark horse and underrated rider going into this, just because the team that he's on. When you talk about that team, understandably, I think Eli's name pops up first, and then so does Cooper Webb's, and then Justin Cooper's, just strictly because of results and just what they have accomplished so far.
I 100% agree. Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb both cast a large shadow under the tent of the Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team, but I do think Justin Cooper is in a unique position to learn a lot from both of those guys, both multi-time champions, been there, done that, injuries, losses, wins, success. I mean, you name it, those guys have been through it all. Mm-hmm. Another great point that you touched on while you were talking is he's a great starter, and I hope he can build upon that heading into his sophomore season. Continue to get those good starts, continue to put himself in a good position heading into the night show, but I wonder if he could stay there during the course of the 20-minute plus one lap main event, snag more podiums, more top fives, and potentially get his first win in his sophomore season. So I'm super excited to see the number 32 on track. Let's move to his teammate Christian Craig, who is back with the Star Racing Yamaha team after a 2-year leave of absence to go and race for the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team. Those 2 years were not a good 2 years, riddled with injuries, bike struggles. Adapting to the 450 class is quite hard, and a lot of his time from Christian Craig. But now he is back. It seems like the elbow injury is starting to get into a better place, and he is back home with the team that he won a championship with back in 2022. Now, his role with the team has been up in the air since he has signed with the team. Kind of sounds like he's been mentoring the 250 guys, most specifically Hayden Deegan, and he will be helping him translate into the 450 class maybe as soon as 2026. But for Christian Craig, I expect for him to maybe not line up at A1 since he tore his ACL, I think it was, at the Las Vegas round, which was just a few months ago. So I expect him to be a late addition to the Monster Energy AMA Supercross season, maybe at round 7, 8, 9, or even 10, potentially is that late. But for Christian, I expect for him to just show up, look really good in qualifying and just in the heat races. The guy knows how to ride a bike. And when I watch Christian Craig ride, I think of, man, I wish I had his style.
Yeah, for sure, because he's definitely a caliber rider that isn't really far off Eli or Cooper Webb and can be right there as well, depending on the day. We've seen that come race day with how he can just show up and ride fucking really well. Again, what another great guy to have on your team to test equipment. From what I've heard, just from talking to different people, I heard he's a great test rider and very good in his feedback. So again, another good personnel to add on the teams, because I know we often talk about race teams and equipment and what makes stuff kit and factory, but we often overlook that it's people behind these brands. It's people behind these settings and parts. So as much as a good team is, it's really about the people that are there working together and how well they work, and also just how smart they are, to be honest. Like, the brighter the guy, most likely the better the solutions they're going to have for whatever issues or problems that they're dealing with.
I had to look for the silver and gold sticker on my JDI microphone as well. I think this is kind of the make or break season for Malcolm Stewart. This is his last year on his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna contract. I hope for Malcolm to snag his first win of the year. I know it's going to be kind of a tough order with just the stiff competition that he is facing in the Supercross season, but he is racing the full season. That is Supercross, Motocross, SMX, much like we saw him do in 2024. So I hope that he can build going into 25, have a whole season under his belt again, because he hadn't raced outdoors in quite a while. And obviously the SMX thing is quite new to him. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping we can get that 2021, 2022, maybe even 2023 pre-knee injury Malcolm Stewart in 25.
Yes. Yeah. Another guy that can just crush whoops. Before we started this, we were talking about when he was on the MCR team on that Honda the night that unfortunately I think his chain derailed or broke. But before then, it looked like he was ripping up to the front of the pack because he was going much faster through the whoops than anybody else. And my heart broke when I saw that because it seemed like Malcolm was really finding his stride and the confidence and just everything was clicking. And then that happened. And you hate to see that because as riders, we all know the amount of effort that goes in just to get ready for a local race for us. So understanding how much time they put in to get there and then keep improving, I was bummed to see that. But yeah, I hope this is the season he really gets to show everybody how good of a racer he really is. And then also put another name in the history books as another pair of brothers to win a 450 Supercross main event. Because I believe the only ones now are the Chet and Hunter Lawrence that have won a 450 Supercross, not 250, but 450. Yeah.
That's a fun stat. I haven't really thought of it that way. So great talking point. And I'm going to look that up. And if I can find that stat, I will put it up on the screen now. If Jet and Hunter Lawrence are the only brothers to win a premier class main event in the Supercross series. So that'd be a cool stat.
I love his hair hanging out the back. He looks like Predator on the bike. I think it looks so fucking cool. The way he rides, he's very big. He can really manhandle the bike. And it's very unique from James. I love watching James ride and I love watching Malcolm ride. And it's cool to see some of the similarities, but also just the unique difference of how Malcolm approaches the track. And you can tell Malcolm gets his genes from his dad, from Big James, like for sure. So I hope he sticks around for the sport for a while. I love following his Instagram page. He just seems like a great personality. I've never met him, but again, just another great guy for the sport. And he's got that Stewart speed. He's got that gene. It's just a matter of, does it come out that night?
Yeah, when I think of Malcolm Stewart, I think of every time he's on the precipice of something great or amazing, something happens. I think back to 2023 when he was volleying for a main event Supercross win. We all thought this was going to be the year that he's going to get it done. Picks up a knee injury early on into the Supercross season. 22 fell short a couple different times. So I think in 25, this is probably one of the last, if not the last, realistic shot that Malcolm Stewart has at a main event win. So I hope he can join the Lawrence brothers, kind of add the Stewart name to the record books of brothers who have won a premier class main event. That's going to wrap it up for our Dark Horses episode 4 of our Monster Energy AMA Supercross Rider Review Series. We covered Malcolm Stewart, Monster Energy Star Racing Yamahas, Christian Craig, and Justin Cooper. And then the newest addition to the premier class, that being Jorge Prado, the rider from Europe who made the transition to the AMA series. Make sure to subscribe to the Ride JBI YouTube channel. These are also available on the Ride JBI Spotify channel as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys in the next episode.